Brian, I want to thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You are working with Frog Partners. Is that a local company? Tell us a little about Frog Partners and your company and what you're doing.
Okay. I'm Brian Deurloo. I'm the president and founder of Frog Creek Partners. It used to be the Frog Partners, but I changed it to Frog Creek Partners. Mm-hmm. We are an environmental technology company based on the banks of the North Platte River here in Casper. Our flagship product is the gutter bin stormwater filtration system. It's a catch basin filter insert. It fits inside storm drains, so when it rains, it captures cigarette butts, trash, plastic, hydrocarbons, heavy metals, baby diapers, guns we found in there, all the stuff that goes into the storm drain, which would typically drain into the river and then to the ocean. We divert that to the landfill.
What was the journey like to get to this point? Because have you always wanted to do something that's environmentally focused? Have you always had ideas and inventions in your head? What did that journey look like for a young entrepreneurial business?
Yeah, where do I start? But I spent a lot of time on my grandparents' ranch down in Saratoga, Wyoming, and as a rancher, you're almost constantly inventing to solve problems, whether it be on the tractor or the fence or the irrigation head gate or something like that. So I kind of saw early on, how do you fix problems in the field? But then I took a keen interest in engineering. My dad is a mining engineer, ran a couple coal mines and gold mine. And so then I decided to go into engineering. I went to Colorado School of Mines, became a mining engineer, took a few years off in my 20s. I backpacked Australia and New Zealand for about a year.
All right.
And then a little bit later, I went and bicycled Europe with my dog. She rode in a baby carrier behind my bike. That was pretty fantastic. And then I came back and still messed around making snow and surveyed and all that stuff. But I got a job in the coal bed methane fields in Sheridan in the early 2000s and worked my way up from a landman to a development engineer. Then finally engineering manager. Then I took a job in Australia as a kind of a development manager there. Then I worked over in Brisbane, was there with my family. We moved I was transferred back to Casper, back to Wyoming of all places. And then after about 5 years working here, they decided to lay everybody off. And the next day, once I was laid off, I was managing the whole U.S. operation, so I had to lay off like 100 people, and that sucked. Okay. But the next day, once I was laid off, I started Frog Creek Partners. And it had always been my goal I remember literally lying in bed when I was like 15 years old, sitting here thinking, I want to invent something useful for the planet. I was thinking something simple like a paperclip or a staple, not a multi-part product like the gutter bin, which has storm drains are like snowflakes. No two are the same. And if God would have told me how hard it was to get to this place in my journey, I don't know if I ever would have started. But right. I'm really happy I took the leap. Mm-hmm. It's just been I'm very thankful for the ride. It's been very arduous and hard and struggles and pain, but it's also lots of joy. People I work with and the people that I call clients and friends and just the successes. Like even today, I had 2 major successes that came in via email. That I'm under NDA, so I can't really share it yet, but we've had some pretty big wins here recently. It's good stuff.
That's wonderful. So, yeah. When did all this start? When did you create the company, and when did the invention? Because I imagine the invention was created before you actually founded the company.
Kind of. So while I was working for the energy company, I was like, actually the simple thing, Eric, I was like, okay, paperclip kind of thing is magnetizing cigarette filters at the time of production. So when a cigarette butt is littered, you could pick it up with a magnet, which I think is a great idea. There's over 4.3 trillion cigarettes littered around the world every year. And it's been proven that one smoked cigarette butt placed into a liter of water with 10 minnows will kill half the fish in 4 days. Right. One cigarette butt can kill 5 fish, and there's over 4 trillion littered around the world every year. So I invented this thing for cigarettes. I've got a patent on it, but one of my mentors said, great idea, crappy business, figure out a different way to pick up cigarette butts. And I was mad, sad, then glad he told me that, because 4 days later on my daughter's 8th birthday, I shot up in bed. I remember it clearly at 2:37 in the morning with an idea for a stormwater filter. rolled it around in my head for a little while. Then by 3 a.m. I was out in my garage building a prototype out of cardboard and duct tape.
All right.
So that was the impetus for the gutter bin, how it kind of came to be.
And what year was that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back. 2016, January 2016.
Got it. And so when was Frog Creek Partners, or what became Frog Creek Partners?
I think our incorporation date is July 14th, 2016.
Oh, so the same year. The same time.
Yeah, because I came up with the invention in my brain. I think a week or two later, one of my friends told me, hey, there's this Wyoming business technology business competition going on. I was like, no. And so I found out about it. I entered. I filed 2 patents by then. So that was January. In May, I presented, and I was one of the winners of that in May. And by the end of the year, I had 2 customers, Casper and Sheridan, for gutter bins.
So now we're rolling up on 10 years, and you've seen a lot of successes. You've traveled internationally. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But your business is definitely growing, and at that 10-year mark, there's a lot of successes. You mentioned 2 successes this morning, so that's great. You've probably seen a lot.
Thank you.
A lot in the past 10 years to get to this point. But you mentioned that the farm was like the place where you got a lot of input on how to create things. Has Wyoming General been that help for you to think out of the box and to create things, or what actually what's the background of being an inventor? Is it because of where you were at?
I'd probably have to attribute a fair amount to my dad too. He was kind of always tinkering as well. I mean, he's an artist. He's like I said, an engineer. He was in the garage building some really fun ideas, and I was given the room and the space to just kind of build whatever I wanted, and I've done that for a long time. I don't know where it came from, honestly.
Right.
I think you're just
that environment where you were encouraged to explore your ideas, which definitely helped.
Yes.
So, what have been your biggest challenges over the past 10 years? I mean, was it always easy from the very beginning? Because you said you got 2 clients relatively out of the gate. What were those struggles at the very beginning?
Money's always a struggle, because I poured our life savings into this, and things moving at a slower pace than I thought. Like, some things are moving a lot quicker than I thought. Well, it's like building a plane while you're taking off, or changing the wheel on a bus while you're driving. It really is. It's like, it's all things. I've got these huge ambitions of where I want to take this business and where I see myself in the future, and so a struggle is like things not happening fast enough for me, and I work a lot of hours. I think I've got a pretty good life balance right now. You want to hire all these people, like, golly, for $50,000 I could hire this person. For $150,000 I could hire that person, but you've got to, I've got to handle the book. For many years I've handled all the bookkeeping, cleaning the toilets, inventing, installing, cleaning the gutter bins, raising capital, writing loan documents, just soup to nuts on this whole thing. And the biggest struggle is just like keeping a good, positive mindset, like I can do this, the persistence, keep going with that.
Thanks for watching today. These podcasts are powered by PayRock, and PayRock is a payment solutions provider. We work with any size business or nonprofit, improving those payment acceptance efficiencies while reducing those overall costs. You can get a hold of me through any one of those social media channels, or you can give me a call. Let's get back to that podcast. It sounds like the product is obviously very unique to what you're doing, but there's a lot of crossovers with every entrepreneur out there. You're wearing all kinds of hats, whether it's the communication hat, the marketing hat, the pitch decks at the beginning, things like that, and then bookkeeping after your invoicing and things are coming in. Mm-hmm. You're wearing everything. So that struggle to do everything is basically universal for every entrepreneur out there. And so those are the things that you faced at the very beginning.
Yeah, and some people are a lot smarter than me, definitely, because they figure out how to piece all this together. They get these people. I'm very thankful and grateful for the dozens, if not hundreds of people of the shoulders I have stood on to where I'm at right now. I've had a business partner for several years up until recently. He's like, I want to go do my own thing. That's cool. I mean, we parted happily. And his name was Chris Tippy, and he just helped me out a lot. But I worked oil and gas and mining for 17 years, and never once did anybody reach out to me and said, I'd like to help you because I believe in your cause.
Right.
But it's happened to me dozens of times. Like people just email me out of the blue or call me or whatever and say, hey, can I help? Can I help you go clean gutter bins? Hey, I've got this contact in Portland. You want me to connect you? And so people really believe in, I'm going to go there, but climate change. Some people think climate change doesn't exist. That's their belief, and that's fine. I think it's wrong. I mean, I do believe that the humans are affecting the planet. If you don't think that 8 billion souls that are driving cars and digging up the earth and all this stuff are not having an effect on the weather and the climate, I think it's very short-sighted and arrogant. But that's where I stand. But where I steer towards is water pollution. It's hard not to argue when you look at a river and you see water bottles floating down it, or taking a water sample out of the water and you say, I know clean water looks like this, but this one has a pH of 4 and hydrocarbons. And it's very easy to discern clean water from dirty water. And so that's where I focused. I mean, people can believe what they want in climate change. That's fine. But when it comes to water, I believe it needs some help.
So, what is the mission of Frog Creek Partners, and how does the gutter bin fit inside that mission? Is there room for other inventions, or is that your sole focus for now?
That was my other struggle, is bright shiny object syndrome, BSO. Bright shiny object is, I am a prolific inventor. It's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world to do, and I've got a book full of inventions. And for the first couple of years, the hardest part of doing this was staying focused on the gutter bin. Like, how do we keep progressing this forward? And I don't focus on, this would be fun. Maybe I could make a bunch of money doing that. But the advice I would give, and the one thing that keeps me going every day, is the passion around what I do. The mission, our mission, I don't have it memorized, but if I were to sum it up in a few words, is our mission is to get storm drains in about every storm drain that we can in the world. Our mission is to protect and restore the rivers and oceans of this world. My vision is to have clean waters everywhere. The EPA has concluded that 32% of the stream miles in America are unfit for human recreation.
All right.
If you were to walk from LA to New York City, you shouldn't be walking through 30% of the rivers and oceans or rivers and lakes that are there, because they're polluted. Your dog shouldn't swim in them. That's crazy.
It is.
1 in every 3 water bodies. So our mission is to, and I think if boiling it down, like Casper has about 5,000 storm drains. I think if we got gutter bins in 10 to 20% of them, it would cut down on most of the pollution, like 80% of the pollution. Casper had the highest rate of smokers in America in 2015.
Right.
I estimate about 45 million cigarettes are littered in this small little town in Wyoming every year.
All right. Maybe that's why your mentor told you to shift to another business, because maybe people are smoking less as well.
No, well, yeah, here.
Yeah.
But it's still on the rise. You go to Europe or Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
It's still on the rise.
Unfortunately. So, is there one success story that you remember in these last 10 years that stands out as like, this is when you knew that you were onto something big?
Yeah, there are lots of them. There's lots of them, but one I remember. I started the business in my garage and my basement. Had a home office in the basement and my little shop in the garage. And I remember dreaming about selling a bunch of gutter bins to Bill Gates. I don't know why. I've always had a lot of respect for Bill Gates, for what he's done, how he's built it. He's a nice guy. And we actually share the same birthday, so maybe we got some kindred spirit there. But I was like, wouldn't it be cool to sell a bunch of millions of dollars worth of gutter bins to Microsoft or Bill Gates? And then in 2020, I was called by a gentleman in Cheyenne. He's a former Casperite, Dennis Ellis, who is working for Microsoft, and said, Brian, we're starting up a business accelerator down here called G Beta, and Microsoft is sponsoring it. Would you want to be in the first cohort? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. He goes, great. Is there anything else I can do for you? I was like, well, it seems like a lot, but what you've already done for me, but do you think you can get Microsoft to buy a bunch of gutter bins? And he said, yeah, let me check into it. 5 weeks later, we had a $100,000 check to donate gutter bins to the city of Cheyenne.
All right.
Then so that was really cool. And we worked with the Rotary Group and all for Rotary, which you and I are both members of the Rotary Club of Casper, and it's a great organization. So then they liked it so much, and we did it in Southern Virginia, and that was probably a big thing, just that coming true.
So 4 years into it, 4 years of painstaking work and believing, that's when you hit your first success story.
That was one of them.
One of them.
Yeah, there was probably a dozen before that,
Right.
but you asked for one of my most memorable.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you talked about if we had 10% or 20% of the storm drains with your product here in Casper, that would be a level of success or efficiency for Casper. Are we anywhere near that? Have you sold many to Casper itself?
I think we're maybe at the 1% mark. We've got about 50 gutter bins in town, and most of them have been donated by businesses and individuals. Casper, the city has purchased a couple,
Right.
and we put them along Garden Creek Road, but most of them are donated.
Got
And we clean all of them. Nobody pays us to clean them. We go out there and clean it ourselves. And also another big success story probably would be the town of Vail. The Vail, like we started out there a few years ago. They put in several different. We have competitors. There's other people that make stormwater filter inserts, and so they put the gutter bin in next to a few of our competitors to see which one works best. And within 6 or 12 months, they asked us to come down and remove the other two because they'd broken or they were hard to clean. And they said put gutter bins in there, and we did. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they got a huge stipend of money, and we put in almost 280 gutter bins in the town of Vail, which is at the top of the watershed, about 7 miles long, a half mile wide, and Gore Creek is impacted. And in the first year and a half, we've diverted 23,000 pounds of pollution away from Gore Creek to the landfill.
23,000.
23,000 pounds in that high mountain, pristine community. Right. It's crazy. And you think what downtown Detroit would be, or
right.
Amsterdam.
Right. That's remarkable. So how do you measure the effectiveness of these devices? Is it in parts per million? Is it, I'm sure you have an analysis that you run to see what the effectiveness looks like after installing the device.
Yeah. So what it looks like, think coffee filter for storm drains. So people, what does the gutter bin look like? You go out there and you have a storm drain. You see 100 of them a day when you drive to work. It's a cast iron storm grate. You pull the storm grate off. Underneath it is a concrete vault. Say it's 3 feet by 2 feet by 5 feet deep. We drop a frame and a filter in there, and so that's the gutter bin. And then the Mundus bag is the water filter. It's basically just a mesh unit that will filter out all the trash and everything like that. So then you come by, you put the lid back on, it rains and transports all this pollution to the gutter bin. Then you come by once or twice a year and you pull the bag out. And the bag is like 13 inches in diameter by 3 foot deep, and it'll weigh anywhere. If it's just leaves and trash, it might weigh 20 pounds. But if it's sediment, asphalt, hydrocarbons, whatever, it might weigh 100 pounds. So we pull that out and we weigh it. Every time we weigh, we built an app, a very, very comprehensive app. I know about where every gutter bin is installed in the world, the latitude, longitude, who put it in, who installed it, when was it last cleaned, how many pounds of pollution is captured, the type of products that they just capture all this data. So that's how we ask people to capture as much data as possible when they clean them, because we're not cleaning all of them, but we are. So Vail has been one of our huge success stories. I know I'm bouncing around like a ping pong ball, but we just won the service contract for Vail too. So we'll be cleaning all their gutter bins this year. So we're building out a service arm of the company.
All right, because I was going to say, at a certain point, you won't be able to manually go out and clean all of the storm drains the gutter bins that you've put in.
God, I hope not.
You're doing it here. Unfortunately, you're doing it here in Casper because there's only been a couple that have been purchased. But if you sold 10 or 20%, of the need here, then you wouldn't even be able to do that. So
Yeah.
that's obviously the end goal. So what are the materials in the gutter bin? You know, what is it made up of? Is that proprietary? Is there a patent behind that, or what can you explain to us?
Yeah, I will say that the gutter bin. So there's two parts of the gutter bin. One is the frame. That's the gutter bin. It's 100% 304 stainless steel, so it's not going to rust. It's going to last for hopefully a decade or more. And we have those. All of those are made in Wyoming. Wyoming Welding and Machine in Sheridan, and Gillette Steel in Gillette help us out a lot on that. But we sew all the bags here at our shop, and we've literally probably built 200 prototypes or more of these Mundus bags. It's one of the biggest struggles I had was the interface between the filter and between the filter element and the frame. And that's where I see a lot of our competitors fall down is how they have that interface. It's very difficult to change out the filter element, where ours is you just pull on the handle, you take it out, you drop a new one. It's like changing the trash. It's that easy. Did that effectively answer your question?
It did, absolutely.
Cool.
So have you seen advancements? Have you seen changes since your initial prototypes? I mean, how many times has the actual concept changed in the past 10 years?
Lots. I mean, you look at the first one. The first one looked like a poor rendition of R2-D2. And yeah, I had this idea that the gutter bin would be could interface with a side-loading garbage truck. Like a side-loading garbage truck with the two arms could come down, grab it, pick it up, dump it upside down, and put it in. And then I was like, no, that's not going to work. And I've got probably a half a dozen products on the steel side, and then 5 different products on the Mundus bag side. And like I said, probably 200 prototypes on the Mundus bag side. There's 50 or more prototypes on the gutter bin side. And that's where a lot of the money's gone. When I've raised a fair amount of capital, sold a portion of my business to help fund this.
Right.
We've got some great partners in the business on our cap table that have really supported us. And I'm very thankful for their support.
So it's a misnomer to think that you can create a product and then launch it, and then that's the product you'll have for the next 10, 20 years. You have to have continuous improvement and keep adjusting things.
Yeah, and I talked to a fair amount of people. I talked to one this week that these people have these great ideas for an invention. Like, hey, can you help me? Like, what do I do? And I'll give anybody this advice. I'm going to tell right here on this podcast is if you have an idea for an invention, the first thing you should do is build a prototype. Build a working prototype. Get some, even if it looks like Frankenstein, get something that kind of looks like and kind of acts like it. And then write at least 2 pages on what it does, how you build it, and what can it be used for. And then 3 is draw the pictures of what the ideal prototype looks like, and then build prototype 2. But unless you can build the prototype and write what it is, and draw a picture of it, you're dreaming. Right. And that's where most people don't even get to that part. Right. I find.
The dream doesn't.
And then there's a book called Patent It Yourself by David Pressman, that I find very helpful.
Do you adapt your device to other climates, because obviously the topography here, the sediment here, the pollution here is different than it would be in India, for example, or even parts of Africa, or is it relatively the same everywhere?
That's a good question. The frame, no. I mean, like we've got a drop inlet, a curb inlet filter, a trench drain, and but then I rock on up to Southern Virginia for this Microsoft project, and I open the hole, and the top is rectangular. Then it necks down into a circle. Then it flares out into a square again. I was like, how do you build a frame that's 3 different things at once? Right. So I didn't have anything that really fit it very well, so I had to invent a new product for that. A new frame. I use the same Mundus bag. The nice thing about our filter bag is it can go from gutter bin to gutter bin to gutter bin. That's why we've got a round hole. Just like why manholes are round is a circle won't fall through a circle. So that's why I made the interface round. But when we're in like 26 different states and 4 different Canadian provinces right now, and I do not change the frame unless it needs to fit a different kind. Like Ontario, we've got another project going on up there, and they've got this frame that is a little funky. but it's all over Ontario. So I had to slightly modify our frame that I call it the Ontario Special now. So sometimes I don't like doing that because it's going to cost, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to make this tiny little tweak on the frame. And then, but we've got this awesome library of templates that will fit about anything. But if if we're going to expand to places like Southeast Asia, or other places that say, want a cheaper frame, I don't want to move to plastic, but if we're going to cut the cost by half, we may have to move there at some point. But right now I'm very happy with a stainless steel frame.
So the frame and the filter stays the same for every environment?
Yes.
Everything does.
Pretty much.
Got it. Okay. For those that don't know, you recently went to Riyadh and you represented Frog Creek Partners over there. What was it like to actually represent Casper and represent Wyoming, our town in Saudi Arabia?
Well, it was a short story. It was mind-blowing. I was approached. I remember sitting in my truck checking my emails before I hopped out, that I got this email from Sustainability Week for the United Nations in Riyadh, and I literally thought it was a scam, so I deleted it. I think the second one came in. I might have deleted that too. Finally, the third one came in, and I said, okay, I'll check it out, fine. And I don't know how they found me, honestly, but for the first time in history, United Nations Conference of the Parties, COP16 for desertification was held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in mid-December 24. And they were looking for people who were innovative entrepreneurs that were based upon that had a water focus. And they reached out to me and asked if I would come speak about artificial intelligence in water security. And I love AI. I'm all in. Like I'm betting the house on it, and I use it daily. I can see why some people carry fear with it, but I'd rather go with love than I would with fear. Let's just say that. So I was asked to come over there. They paid my way, put me up in a nice hotel, and literally just was on the stage for 30 minutes to talk about AI and water security. And then several other days I just walked around the event and got to speak with the Ministry of Environment. They had a lot of people from the government in Riyadh or from Saudi Arabia there, but then people from all over the world. It's kind of akin to walking into the bar in Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun. You see all these different costumes or just the different way people carry themselves around the world. I think it's fantastic. But to go there and represent Frog Creek and Wyoming and Casper was just a really special thing, and I'm very, very thankful and grateful for it. Try to spread a good word.
How was the reception to a Wyoming invention, a Wyoming product? Was it well received over there?
Yeah. I think most of my contacts, I walked around and I tried my darndest to sell the gutter bin to many people in Saudi Arabia. They've got some, Prince Mohammed bin Salman is throwing a lot of money at beautification efforts. Just they're throwing a lot of money at buildings and parks and so forth and new airports. The two largest airports in the world are in Saudi Arabia. The third is Denver International, which I didn't know. But so I was trying to sell gutter bins to them, but it can be a little bit difficult when you only get 4 inches of rain a year and it's mainly desert. But I think most of my good contacts came in the VIP lounge and in the speaker's lounge. Like I would just go and sit in the speaker's lounge because these people were flying from all over the world to come speak. And I had a pass to go in there. So I just go from table to table and talk to these people from all over the world and go to the VIP lounge and all that.
At the end of the day, it's just networking and speaking with people and developing those relationships, even as these people were from different cultures and different places.
Yeah, I'm like the master of kid saying this with all humility. I'm like Johnny Appleseed, but I'm Johnny Gutterseed. I'm just out there planting seeds. Like, hey, have you heard of gutter bin? Blah, blah, blah. And just give my card, and 1 out of 100 might kind of pop up and become a good thing. And made some great contacts in France and Belgium, making a really good headway with get this really exciting company in the Netherlands right now that we're talking about potentially some sort of partnership up.
Okay.
And then I've got some engagements that I'm going to Scotland and Sweden later this year to talk to some people.
How do you connect local impact that you've been seeing for the past several years to the global issues that were spoken about at COP16?
Data. Vail, like I said, is one of our crown jewels because we know we have done some. I've got some data. I don't know if I'm able to share it, but we've got some miraculous data that's happened in Gore Creek that shows some water quality increases there that have been very good, and they're attributing a lot of it back to the filtration efforts that they're making. And then in Cheyenne, we're starting to capture more data there, and we're likely going to be expanding a project down there here soon. And I want to up the game on how much data we capture, and where I'm rolling AI into it, getting some more monitoring stations, whether it be at the curb level or in the creek. We got some great relationships with the city down there and the conservation district. And now I'm looking at I've got a call with them this afternoon. Rolling in, working with possibly University of Wyoming, Colorado State University, and Colorado School of Mines. Like, that's one of the reasons I call it, like, people say, why Frog Creek Partners? Why'd you name it that? Well, first of all, I like frogs. The first entrepreneurial thing I ever did was selling frogs to my neighbor for 25 cents a piece to put into her garden. Then creek, I grew up next to a creek, Goose Creek in Sheridan, Wyoming, and just loved it. I knew water had to be in the name of the company. And then partners, I know what I want to accomplish is too much to do for one person or one company, and so I want to partner up with these people. And we've done a good job of, we've fallen down a few times, but we've done a good job of partnering with academia, municipalities, corporations, NGOs, and because if we're going to clean up the water, it's going to require a massive effort.
Right, you definitely can't do it alone.
Correct.
What are your expansion plans? What are the next 5-10 years look like for Frog Creek Partners?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm a big visioner and manifester. I vision a lot, and I see probably 10 people. We're not very big. I mean, we're a pretty small company right now. We do a lot of outsourcing with contractors, but probably having in the next couple of years at least 10 to 12 people working directly with us, and having a European presence and probably an Australian presence. And honestly, I think I envision my BHAG, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to work with anybody out there with millions of billions of dollars that is looking to make a huge impact on the environment. Call me, because I have a plan of diverting millions of pounds of pollution away from rivers to the landfills. So, like, if we were to put gutter bins in 10 to 20% of the storm drains from, say, on the Columbia River watershed, from like Jackson Hole to Astoria, Oregon, and we worked with all these communities along the way and said, let's do these filtration projects, and we're going to help you clean them and put them all in and everything like that. Imagine what that would do to the environment. I mean, there's coho salmon out there. Scientists at Washington State or University of Washington have proven, they've kept finding all these coho salmon with, like, I might be a little facetious here, 3 eyeballs, but there's a lot of cancer in the coho salmon up in the Northwest. And they're like, why are all these fish getting cancer? And there was some sort of ghost chemical they couldn't find. Finally, they narrowed it down to tire treads. There's this chemical in tire treads called 6-PPD, which is a anti-ozone degradation chemical, so your tires don't dry rot when they're sitting there in the sun. So they put this in the tires. But then you've got 4 tires on your car, and every 4 years you replace your tires. Where'd all the rubber go?
Right.
Went on the road. Then where's it go? It gets washed to the storm drain. Then it goes to the river. And then these fish are breathing it. It's going through their lungs. They're eating it when they go gulp an insect. And the cows are drinking it. The same livestock that we're eating, it's all called bioaccumulation. It's being taken back up through the environment. I've kind of focused a little bit on what our Mundus bag will remove tire treads from water as well.
We're possibly getting closer to that $1 million or $1 billion breakthrough, because you were recently nominated for an award. Talk to us about that you mentioned before we started the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. So I've got this vision board, like, up on my wall. I look at this thing, and a couple of years ago, I kind cut out this thing said Earthshot Prize, and I was like, oh, wouldn't that be cool if I won that? And so I cut out this thing, and then actually while I was in Riyadh, I was notified that I was nominated to win the Earthshot Prize, which is a prize started by Prince William, and helped founded with David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough. My daughter and I love all of David Attenborough's shows. He's just a great, really cool conservationist. So we were nominated to be part of this Earthshot Prize, and I'm sure there's hundreds of other awesome people and communities around the planet doing some really cool things. But yeah, we're in the running. You got to be in it to win it, and so hopefully we make it to the next phase. If we don't, it's an honor to be a part of good company.
It's definitely remarkable that you were even nominated, which is obviously a testament to what's been happening the last 10 years in your business, and obviously Riyadh helped that as well to bring you some exposure. So that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, Riyadh kicked open a few doors. There's been a few like. I squeezed blood out of a turnip on that one. I was, like I said, I was pretty thankful for the opportunity.
Right.
And I don't like. Social media is going in all different kind of directions, whatever everybody's opinion is on that. But it's a great way to get your word out,
it is.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I used that and said, look, Frog Creek Partners, we're going to the United Nations event. Mm-hmm. And it definitely did. A couple of people took notice and reached out and said, hey, we want to talk now.
Right. At a bare minimum, social media is great to share your message and share your ideas for sure. But it's a confusing place to say the least, and who knows where it's actually going in terms of intervention from companies to stifle certain concepts, things like that. But at the bare minimum, yes, it's a great tool.
You're having fun with it.
I am. It's a lot of fun because we can get the message out. There's a lot of great stories here in Casper of Casper businesses, and I think that if we don't communicate about them, people won't know. And
what's your impetus for starting this podcast? Why do you do it?
That's a good question. I do it because there are a lot of amazing stories here that people don't know about. People don't know what they don't know, and I think that there's a lot of businesses that even with what you do, there's a lot of crossover in your journey, your entrepreneurial journey with other businesses, and I think there's a hunger, an intellectual hunger to know how you made it, or at least your perseverance that continued to see breakthroughs, whether they're small breakthroughs at the beginning. To much larger ones, and being invited to Riyadh, that's attainable to people that have a great product that are persistent, and those are the stories I like to share.
Yeah.
I also do it, I think, for just I think that putting Casper on the map is a good thing, because I think that people don't recognize Casper as a place where entrepreneurs are born and thrive, and there are inventions that people that don't know about. And I think that even I knew half of the things, or not even a quarter of the things that you're actually involved in. So and yet we're part of the same Rotary Club, and yet we're in the same town and things like that. So that dialogue is important, I think. And more than that, I think that people, if we're talking about on the retail space or the business space, people buy from people they know and respect. And if we can get those stories out, I think that the economy in general can grow, because people don't buy just concepts because it's a nice idea. They buy from people, especially here in Wyoming. People buy from based on relationships, and that's how networking works. Is that you're communicating, you're sharing your ideas, and so if I can help that in any way, get a better understanding of who these different entrepreneurs are in our town, I think that their businesses can grow as well.
Cool. Do you have a big, hairy, audacious goal with this podcast, or like if you were to like, oh man, if this happened, it'd be super fantastic?
I think getting, I think my big goal is get people like yourself, to be honest, that are reaching outside of Casper, so we can bring light to Casper, but also connect the world to what we're doing here, because we're not isolated. We sometimes feel like we're isolated here on the prairie, and no one knows about what's happening here. But if we can connect these visionaries like yourself that are connecting Casper to the world, getting those people on the podcast would be great, I think.
Cool.
So
yeah.
So back to you.
Okay.
What about partnerships, local partnerships? How valuable have they been here in Casper to get you to where you're at today?
Well, Rotary has been a great partnership. Honestly, that was probably the most impactful one for me. Our club, the Rotary Club of Casper. So I started with them, and we had a 100-year anniversary a couple of years ago, and they were looking for some centennial projects and kind of folks. Yearly we have a duck derby, which is centered around the river. Drop a few thousand ducks into the river, and so the club wanted to do something centered around the river. Like, well, why don't we filter the water that's going into the river? So that has been a really good partnership. John Huff at Yellowstone Garage, he's been a great. He was one of my very early on supporters. He helped me build the first prototype his guys did at his shop at Sound and Cellular in Drillcon. And then he's probably going to help me build our service trailer. So just having these guys down there in the Yellowstone district. And, Liz Becker at the city, she's always been a good supporter of us. Like, I don't know. I could list and I'm going to feel badly when we walk away. I'm going to think of 24 people that I should have said, but I don't.
Right.
I'm not winning an Oscar up here. But and my wife and my daughter, they've been great support, and I love them for that. But and I'm like right here, Eric. I mean, this is support that you see, and you have an interest in the mission, interest in me, and all that. So every little bit helps. Casper has been a great community to start a business. I mean, I've got, we're only 4 hours from Denver. We have an international airport. It's the whole county is a free trade zone. Had lunch with Senator John Barrasso on Monday, and Governor/Ambassador Sullivan, see him often. And we have some fantastic ties into a big network of people here.
You mentioned finance at the very beginning. That was a struggle at the beginning to get the financing for research and development, for creating those prototypes and then launching. Have you had local financial partners here as well in terms of entities or groups that have organizations that have helped you along the way? Yeah,
I'd say at least probably 80% of our investors are just local to Natrona County.
All right.
We got several. I'd say 95% of our investors are from the state of Wyoming, and great people. And it's I kind of tease that there's no such thing as red water or blue water, or Republican water or Democrat water. It's all of our water. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, we have people on our that are partners that are school teachers, small business owners. They own mining companies, oil and gas companies, real estate companies. So all across the board, the people are getting behind the idea of the vision. So all of them were just private investors, private individuals that saw the vision? Yeah, I think we've got one or two family offices, and the rest are like what we'd call an angel investor. Right. I've steered clear of VCs to date. For multiple reasons, but that may change in the future. There's definitely politics involved in venture capital for sure. Mm-hmm. And like you said, that water runs neutral, doesn't run blue or doesn't run red. It's the pollution is something that everyone shares, and that we shouldn't be sharing that. So, do you see perception changes on Casper and how the world sees environmental issues or environmental success or innovation from Casper? No. Not really. I would, it's one of my dreams someday that we have an innovation center here that I forget what you call them, but kind of like a design build area where you invite people to come in I'd love it if we were like a incubator, /Mecca for people that want to try new environmental innovations to take them to market. I mean, we're strong in solar. I mean, look at Wyoming, right up here. We're at a mile high. We have some of the most sunshine of anywhere in the United States. We definitely have some of the most wind. Wyoming is the top of 5 major watersheds, and we got a good group of people that can work at some of these areas. So it makes sense that we would be a good spot to be an incubation hub for environmental innovation.
like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of crossover with your journey and the journey of every entrepreneur and especially inventor. Your product is obviously very unique because it's something that you've patented and something that you've invented. But in closing, I just want to know if you could give some advice to young entrepreneurs here in Casper that have a dream to do something that's unique and innovative. What's the best piece of advice that you've received that you think you could share?
Every day, take one step towards your goal. I would definitely start reading personal growth books, and all that stuff. But I think if I were to say two major things, sit down and meditate very deeply on what it is that you desire, what you choose, not what you want, but what you choose in life, because life doesn't happen to you. It happens from you, for you, and as you. Like, you create your own life. You can be anything in this world that you want to be. And I recommend for people to sit back and think big. I think a lot of people are preconditioned to think small. You can't do that, but you can do anything in the world. And then every day, take daily action to make it happen, and try to remove the fear from your life. Too many people live in fear, and if you're to focus on, I want to create a life that I love, you can do it.
That's great advice. Where can we find your work? Where can we track your different milestones? Do you have a website? Where can we find you?
Yeah, we're at, thanks for asking, we're at frogcreek.partners on the website. We're on Facebook. Most of my stuff I post on Facebook under Brian Deurloo, Deurloo, or under Frog Creek Partners. And then we have two LinkedIn pages, Brian Deurloo and Frog Creek Partners there on LinkedIn. I don't do X or Instagram yet. I got enough to do.
I hear you. Takes time, and you need a lot of help to do all the things. So thank you for joining us. And if you're tuning in and you want to invest, he's looking for investment. If you want to see your investment do good around the world, reach out to Brian. So thank you again.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate you.